All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Chris Nickson. I'm going to be the trainer here today with you on this Authentisign class offered through MyRealSource. And on here with me is also Debbie Ranfajato. She is the Director of Training for MyRealSource as well. So good morning to everybody. Debbie, do we have everybody signed in?
So far, we're actually still waiting for a few more people. Just about 3 or 4, I think, was 11, 1, 2, 3, 5 or 6. We'll give them a minute. Sometimes it does take them a minute.
So I hope everybody's doing well, and you know, everything's getting. You guys are all getting ready to get back out there tomorrow. Based on your broker's guidelines, I know most offices aren't open yet, but we can do showings, and depending on how the sellers want you to show and all that, and the buyers. So hopefully things will start picking up for you, and that you've used this time to enhance some of your skills. I know NAR has been offering some courses at really reduced rates or no charge at all. So it's worth maybe, and that's going to go on till the end of May. So if you're still a little slow in your time, sign up for some of those, get some of those certifications or designations behind you. Of course, MyRealSource has been offering a ton of classes and webinars, so you should be hopping on those and improving all your skills and getting those things done that you have been looking to do.
Hey, and on that, I'm going to piggyback on that for a second, because remember, we have the technology certification through MyRealSource as well. So that's going to be something. Unfortunately, I cannot run a report and say, oh, sweet, who hit 20 credits of classroom hours? I don't have that capability, so it is up to you to either email me to say, hey, Deb, do you think you could check out my records for me and see if I earned that? I'd be more than happy to. Yeah, and Chris and I were just talking about designations and certifications just before we started the webinar.
So with that, I'm gonna get going because everybody's time here is pretty important. We're gonna get going into Authentisign. So you get to Authentisign through your MyRealSource homepage when you log on there, and you have your heading bars up here. It's under Resources. Oops. And online forms, it's under Authentisign. There's actually 2 parts. It's under Transaction Desk, Instinet Forms, and Authentisign. Instinet is where you set up the forms or documents that are going to be part of a transaction that you're going to sign. And hopefully, if you've had that class first, now we're going to take you now to actually do the signings for the documents that you have created. Along the way, if you have any questions, just go ahead and type them in the questions box. Debbie will be kind of looking at them and let me know, if I need to answer something, or she'll answer it herself, and I kind of have it on a split screen where I can see it as well. So I hope you can all see my cursor right here. We're going to open up Authentisign. And once it loads, here's your main dashboard on Authentisign. This is your main dashboard for Transaction Desk, and I just want to, it's the speedometer looking thing over here on the far left. And I just want to, just like with any applications, anytime you see these 3 bars that look like this in the corner, that always brings up the menu. And I kind of have you can either have it in this written out form or just the little icons. So always on the left, you have if you hover over it, it'll tell you what it is. You have the main dashboard. This is Transaction Desk, Authentisign, Instinet Forms, all the way down, Contacts. Your big one is your settings. And in your settings, which looks like the 3 gears, is where you can set your preferences. If you have linked applications, notifications, clauses is the real big one. If in the forms class, if they talked about setting up clauses, this is where you go to create those clauses so you don't have to keep typing in the same thing over and over. There is a checklist manager, transaction templates. This is where you go if you want to create your own templates. I've created my own templates. My broker is puts all our documents in one big file, And I didn't like, when I was in the forms class, of always separating out everything for like a residential transaction or a condominium transaction. So I created my own templates using all those same forms. I just deleted the ones I don't typically use. And then the other thing down here I want to bring up is support. Support has some good online training. You can come in here and take some of those classes. They're really good about it. I know I've also had some questions, and I've gone to transaction desk directly, and they've done an excellent job of getting back to me and walking me through how to do things. So those are all found under your gear here. There's some webinars here as well that they put out and everything else, and help videos. So that's what all this is. So we're going to go back up here to your main dashboard, and mine may look a little different than yours because if you unlock the dashboard over here where this lock is, you have these different buttons up here. You have the blue buttons and then the green ones. The green ones are the ones where you're actually going to where you're going to look over things that are in there. For instance, I have forms, which is this one right here. So I'll close it out. I'll drag it right down here, and that'll drop that in there on my main dashboard, so I don't have to go up and look at it every time. I use forms the most, so I'm going to put it up top. So what I'm showing you here is these are all customizable. By dragging on these corners, you can make them bigger or smaller. You can put these different little blocks in whatever order you want, just for it to be easier to see. And so if I wanted to work for forms, I would just click here and go to forms, or if I had documents, I could click here and go to documents, or my signings. And you can customize your how you want your main screen to look a little bit just by unclicking this lock button, and that allows that. And then when you're done, click the lock. So today we're going to be working on Authentisign, and we're actually going to create a signing in Authentisign. I've gone ahead and set up I went in and set up a file already for this class on a listing that we want to write an offer on. So the documents are already loaded. I went through the whole part to set up the documents, and we're all good. So there's two ways to start a signing. You can start a signing. The recommended way is to start over here with the pen that says Authentisign. You click on that, and this is a ribbon indicates all the signings that I've done that have been completed. Ones with gears mean they're still in process of being, getting ready to be sent out to my clients. So we're going to create a new transaction. We've opened up Authentisign. We come over here to where it says add, and you create a signing name. The beauty of this is you can name them however you want to remember them. What's today? This 7th. You can put in the buyer's name if you want, however you want to know to create that signing. I normally, if I'm going to create a signing that's going to go to the buyer and it's just the buyer packet, I'm going to put in their buyer packet or to buyer or something similar, because in some transactions you end up with multiple signings, and if you just use the standard address of it, you may not remember what every signing is for. The transaction, you want to assign it to a transaction if you've had one created, so that when you assign it to a transaction, when those documents are signed in Authentisign and come back, the system will automatically put them in the document section of that transaction. So this was the one that I created already, so I'm going to assign it to this one, and we're going to go to new signing. So we'll hit save, and that'll take me to my wizard. It's a 5-step little process that you go through pretty quick. Here's the name that I named it right here, and these are the details. The signing name is here. You could always re-edit it if you needed to. You have 2 options for the participants. The first one is sign in line, and the signings will take place in the order in which you send them out. So if it goes to buyer A, then buyer B, then buyer C, and you have it sign in line, this one checked, that means buyer B won't receive the email to sign it until buyer A is finished, and buyer C won't receive the email to sign it until buyer A and B have finished. That is a good way to do it if if there's a certain order in which everyone needs to be signed. I like Simulsign. Simulsign is first come, first serve. So if you send it out to buyer A and buyer B, one may be at work and can't sign right away, but you don't care. You don't need one to sign in order for the other to sign. So whenever they can sign it, they sign it and they come back to you. In Authentisign, what Authentisign does is it takes any forms that are editable and creates them a PDF, a document that cannot be changed or altered once you send it out. So when you set it up for signing, buyer A will get the documents, and only where their signature blocks are supposed to be signed will appear, and buyer B will only see where they're supposed to be signed. You, as the agent creating the document, when it comes back to you, Authentisign will put all the signatures where they're supposed to be, and you'll see the finished document. So if the order doesn't matter, select Simulsign. If it does matter, select Sign in Line. I'm going to leave it at Sign in Line right now, just because I want to show you guys a little further down where it would come into play. Under Advanced Options, pardon me, you can set an expiration date, meaning they have to sign it by a certain time or else. And you can also set up reminders on them. Like if someone's not signing it, you can send a reminder that every 4 hours for them to sign. I follow up on my own, and if I don't get it signed, I'm going to call them. I'm not going to wait for the system to send it out. The other thing under Advanced Options that you can look at is the Authentisign ID position. The default is the top left. What that means is when the document goes out and it gets signed, Authentisign is going to put the when it was signed and all the legal stuff in the very top left of the document. So let's say this is the buyer packet going to the buyer, and the buyer signs it all. So that ID is going to be in the top left. I send this to the listing agent. The listing agent likes our offer, sends it back to us, and now I have to send it to be bottom line. Well, maybe I don't want that Authentisign verification being in the top left, so I can move this and put it like top right, so they don't print over each other, more or less. So you kind of want to, that's what that does. It moves where the ID position is going to be, top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. You can hide the signature keys on signed documents if you want. I've never really changed that. So those are under Advanced Options. So we're doing a sign in line. Step 2 is participants. Right now, this was a listing agent. I am the selling agent. This is my buyer. And in this case, Ashley B. Buyer, they have an attorney that they want to review everything. So I'm going to add the attorney. And I'm going to, you just, under participants, let me go back. Participants, here were the ones that were all in it. And I'm going to add one more. So you come up here to add and click add. And now you come back down here and click add participants. You can add a new participant, someone who's already associated with the transaction from your contacts or yourself. In this case, I know my attorney for this purpose is already set up, so I'm going to go to my contacts. There you go. And he's the lawyer. His name's Larry Esquire. He's going to be a remote signer. A remote signer is someone you're going to send to, and they're going to sign remotely. You're not going to be there. In-person signer is someone who's going to actually sign it off their tablet, mobile device, or even your computer, and you're going to be sitting in the room with them. That's an in-person signer. So let's say you're at somebody's house, and rather than emailing it all to them, you can create the documents and have them in-person sign, and they can sign it sitting right next to you. A reviewer, which is what Larry is going to be, is someone that only looks at the documents, but his signature is not required. That means that person needs to review everything and give their okay before you can proceed. In this case, let's say it was an estate, we have an attorney we need to go to, and so I'm going to add him as the reviewer. CC only means that after the document is completely signed by all parties, it will go to that person just to get. So if you're an agent and you work for a broker who says, I want to see all documents before they go out, you could add your broker as a CC only. Then after everything was signed, it will come back to him and they could review it all to make sure that it's okay. But right now with Larry Esquire, we're going to add him to this transaction as a reviewer. So we just click add, and got to add the other contacts. We're going to add, these are all the contacts that were created on the form side. Kevin is the listing agent, so I don't need to add him. I'm going to add myself, and I'm going to be a remote signer. And Ashley Buyer, she is a remote signer. So you're going to put add. And if you want to change the order, this is an upgrade that came out recently that's really nice. You can just grab over here and move their order up however you want. And what's really important about that was, because Larry Esquire has to review it and we are in sign in line, this order determines who gets the emails. So Larry has to review it first, the lawyer, and then the email will go to Betty. And then once Betty signs it, it will come to me. If I had it in simulsign, it will go to the lawyer at the same time it went to Betty and it went to me. And Betty could sign it without the lawyer looking at something. And if he had an issue with it, we could have a problem. So that's why you want to make sure when you're in sign in line how the order is. This big magnifying glass shows you that this individual, this contact is a reviewer, and these two people are signers. So the participants are all added. The order is correct. You can check to make sure their email is correct and everything else like that. Let's say participant. I want to let you know, I don't know if they covered it, but we're all good on there. Betty Buyer is what she is known by, but her actual legal name is Ashley B. Buyer. So her custom signature is going to be, you want to make sure you put it in here correctly so that when she signs everything, it's signed legally. So that's what custom signature is on the Authentisign part. The next part is the documents. Come down here. The documents should load up. Here are all the documents in the transaction, and including, these are all the forms and documents. I'm going to want them to sign everything there in the buyer's package, including the disclosures that came in from the seller's disclosures that were pulled in from the listing. I add all those documents in here. System will automatically add them. Oh. What this is asking you is Betty Buyer, wherever there's a preloaded document that has a signature block, Betty Buyer is going to be in signature block number 1. If you had 2 buyers, you would say who would be in signature block number 2. Same for me as selling agent 1, I'm going to appear there, and that's all the screen is asking you to verify that it's okay. So, same for signatures and initial blocks. So I'm going to hit save on that. Here are all the documents that I pulled in. If I didn't like their order, if I wanted my client to get this in a specific order, I could just grab these and move them however I need to, and the order will automatically change. So these are all the documents. If I forgot a document that I wanted to add, you just click add documents. You can either go back to my transaction that I had set up, all the forms that are available to me through my RealSource, or if I had something, I could upload a file. Just if I clicked on upload a file and then dragged it in off my desktop and dropped it in there, it would load. So don't really need to, I'm not going to add any files or anything right now. I just wanted to show you that, how you could add one if you forgot. There you go. So I have my documents in there. I have my contacts in there, everything set. Now I'm going to actually design the forms to go out to be signed. These forms in the preview mode that have these little yellow boxes in them, those are ones that are already pre-formatted with signatures to be dropped in if someone was assigned that position. So you want to, that's all that is indicating. And I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. The next thing, you click on number 4, design, and it'll prepare all the documents. In this case, I have 16 pages. Are there any questions so far? Did I lose anybody? They understand how we pulled this over? If you do, fire them up there, and Debbie or I will take a look at them.
Yep, no questions at this point.
Yep. So far, we're in step 4, design, and here's the name of the packet. And this is where you're going to find all those forms pulled in, and you start designing them. Over here, you have the signers, and if you notice, there's only myself and Betty Weir, who's ever highlighted blue. That's who these buttons below here apply to. You do not see Larry up here, the lawyer, because as a reviewer, there's nothing for him to sign. So I'm going to go through these documents. It already has my name in here, and Ashley B. Weir in here. If I wanted to put a date in here, there's a couple ways to do it. You can come over here to the drag and drop under Betty Weir and grab this date stamp and just click, hold, and drag. I'm going to delete that. Or you can come on her signature block, right click it, add date stamp, and then it's right there. Also, if you right click on one of these blocks, it says flip vertical, flip horizontal. What that does is it flips where it says this big part that says sign here. If you had names stacked on top of each other, maybe you want it on that side, or maybe you want it below like that for whatever reason. And I'm going to leave it where it needs to be normally. And again, this is a pre-formatted form. Be careful where the pre-formatted forms occur. I've seen purchase agreements where different brokers had them pre-formatted that when it comes in here for the initial signing, the bottom line already has a signature block in it. So you're sending something to be signed the first time, the seller has not agreed to anything, and the buyer is also bottom lining it. So just make sure where all the signatures are where they need to be. If for some reason you don't want something there, click on the signature block, and then down here where the garbage can is, you can just click on that and it will go away. The auto date is filled in there. For some reason, my brokerage firm is not in here. If I wanted to put that in there, I would go up under my name, Christopher Nickson, and I'm going to do the markup. And I'm going to create a text box. So you click once, and then it's a hold kind of click, left click and hold and draw down and create the box. Type in what you need to. This settings button here allows you to change the background from transparent to white. The font size, you have a few different fonts you can choose from, and the font size is 16. I don't want it that big. I make it 12. And the color is black, and some other little things, bold and italic right there. So we're going to leave this right here. I spelled my brokerage wrong. So that's dropped in there, a text box. That's how you can do that. You also have the options. These items over here are, you can highlight or draw a rectangle, anything like that. If I want to highlight something, I would click on the highlight button and drag across, and it highlights it. As you can see, the gear button changes the color. I don't recommend doing this. And the reason I'm going to delete this. The reason I don't recommend highlighting anything or doing in color is most people, when they go to print these out, they print them out in black and white. And sometimes if the toner or whatever is a little low on their printers that they're using in their office or whatever, the highlights have a tendency to obscure the writing. And what something you're trying to highlight so people notice actually end up not being able to be seen very well. So if you're really doing it and you know they're going to print it in color and everything else, then I would suggest doing that. So you just go through your forms and fill everything out. Right here, this requires a signature by me. These forms aren't filled out correctly, and I'm not going to go through everything. So I'm going to drop in my signature right here. So these are my options. I have a green sign here, or a red sign here, or a green sign here. The difference is anything in green, that allows them the option to sign or not to sign. I prefer, and you can only do one. You can either, the person when they receive it can either sign it or not sign it. I don't like to give my clients options, because if they miss something, or if you're sending it out to multiple clients, one may agree to sign it and the other one may not, and you'll have a problem. So anywhere where I think I might have to give them a choice, I find out first before I send the document over. So in this case, it is just me. I'm going to drop my signature down there. There's my signature block comes in, right click, add the date stamp. I'll just slide the date over. I realized up here that I did not indicate that I'm a seller's agent. So I'm our buyer's agent rather. So not under me, but under Betty Buyer, I'm going to add a red X, because a red X means she doesn't get a choice. So that when this pops up under Betty, she will see that it will show buyer's agent, and she will have to click on that. And then down here, the undersign does not. Drop that X in here. And if she did, she would be a buyer, and then the potential buyer. And then we're going to drop in Betty's signature right here. And there's no title block. I like to put names under signatures. So again, right click and add name block. It actually jumps up here, and then I just can drag it down like this. And there, her name would appear on that line right there. I forgot under my side to show up that I am acting as a designated agency. You'll see how all this plays out when I email it. I meant to grab an X, and I have an initial here. I don't want to have the initial box. I want an X here. So I'm going to right click on that and just delete it. And I'm going to put the X in here under Betty Buyer's name, because to complete the seller's agency form. I'm not going to fill out all these forms and sign them. There was no addendum. Purchase agreement. We'll come all the way down. Everything looks good. I need the buyer's initials on the pages. So Betty Buyer, I'm going to grab her initials, put it down here. Same thing all the way through. The standard form, dropping them in there. And she is going to sign here, and we're going to put the date over here. Now, right here, there is a witness side. Check with your broker on this. If you're sending out forms to be electronically signed, they're legally, again, it's what your broker says you have to do. There's no need for you to witness something, because you are not actually witnessing that the person you sent the email to is opening that email and actually signing it. Maybe in the case of a husband and wife, or two parties that are purchasing a property, maybe one person opens both emails and does that. They're not supposed to, but maybe it does. You don't want to say you witnessed something when you can't. again, check with your broker, make sure what their policy is on this. And Authentisign is a third-party application that's going to authenticate that the email went to this address is assigned to Ashley B. Buyer, and the presumption is that only Ashley B. Buyer could open that. That is what's going to hold up in the court of law, is the Authentisign authentication, which we'll show you that at the towards the end here. So if your buyer doesn't, if your broker feels you don't need to witness forms that are being electronically signed, don't add your signature there, because what you're saying is you're witnessing that Ashley signed that. So if your broker doesn't have a policy on that, find out what direction they would like you to do. Here are just some more forms. I'm not going to show you how to keep pulling in forms, dropping in signatures and everything else. Here's the seller's disclosure. Again, we need to put the buyer's initials over here, and we're just going to drag them in here. Buyer has to sign down here. And you don't really need to put a date and time in there, because when they sign, it'll show the date and time that they signed. I move mine up a little bit rather than leave them on the line. I found that if you leave them right on the line, some of the information appears down here in these little lines. So I move mine up slightly. I don't know, it's just a quirk I do. Addendum to seller's disclosure. Again, I'm not going to go through everything. Lead-based paint. This house was built after 1978. So even though it's not required, I like to put my buyer's initials on here just to let them know that my buyer at least saw this and is acknowledging it. This button right here is the radial button. This allows you, I'm just gonna, for purposes of this class, show you where to use that. If they had an option to choose a couple of items, where's my inspection of the property? Right here.
Hey, Chris, we do have someone with their hand up, so I just sent her a message to see if she had a question, or maybe if she just accidentally tapped the button and her hand was there. So so I will give her just a second if Jan would like to ask her question.
All right, we'll give it a second there, and I'm just looking for something I can drop this in real quick so it's not too confusing. Okay, like right here in our purchase agreement, it says after closing the buyer or seller, let's say we were getting occupancy, and I wasn't sure on something if the buyer wanted it to fulfill the obligations of this paragraph. So in order to give them a choice of two, you click the radio buttons, click and drag, and it'll give you two. And so when Betty Buyer gets this, they can either click on this one or this one. They can't click on both. They can change their mind, but they can only click on one. And that's what the purpose of a radio button does. It allows that person in a signed form to make a selection. And again, you can see it's assigned to Betty Buyer, so you check up here just to make sure you're pulling stuff down that it's going to appear on Betty's side, not on when I go to sign. The other thing I want to caution you on is if you're dragging something across and you kind of forget and you take a phone call or look away and take your finger off the button, it's going to leave that box hanging wherever you left it off at. So once I get through all my documents at the bottom, I always scroll all the way up and I make sure on every page I have everything where it needs to be. Because if all of a sudden I hit this send with this looking like this, and that was out there, I was going to be dropping in an initial box somewhere in the middle of the page for no reason whatsoever. I don't like that there. I don't need that there. It was an error on my part, so I'm going to get rid of it. Also, be careful putting stuff too close to the margins like this, especially on the lead paint disclosures. Usually we reuse the form so many times, the initial boxes are really tight. The reason you don't want to put it so close to the margin is these are mobile device. You can use them on mobile devices. You can sign on those, and depending on the mobile device, when the person pulls it up, or on some tablets, depending on how the borders are set up, they may not be able to touch that in order to get the initial block to highlight or do whatever. So always move them. Don't put them right on the edge like that. Put them out here in the middle a little more. And type business days. Shrink my font down a little bit. Go 10. It shrunk down. The color is black, but it's typed over this other stuff and it's hard to see. So what you do is you come in. This is where the transparent in the background changes to white. And now it blocks out everything else that was there. Because I made a change on my form and I crossed out something, I now have to make sure that my client initials that. So for those of you that like to take a purchase agreement when you get it back and go to sign it or something and send it out, and you're going to white something out, make sure there's an initial box by it because you've changed the document before it went out. So that's just some of the things on how to set up the forms. You've gone through, you made sure everything's where you want it to be, you got it all filled out. You hit next. And you can either customize the invitations and in the emails and send it out. Here you'll put a little subject and say, Larry, please review. Any questions, let me know. This is going to Betty Buyer, and it's your PA packet. Betty, sign where you need to. If you have received this, that means Larry has reviewed it. Oops. Okay, that's where you can put in a little message. I have a pre-formatted message that I drop in there for people I'm sending to the first time that kind of tells them what they need to do. It's about a paragraph long, and then if they've never done an electronic signature from me before, I put it in there and I send it out as my first message to them. So you hit save and you hit send invitations, and at that point, this transaction is out. It's gone. It's out there. You cannot bring it back and try to make a change and send it out. Those documents are set. Those forms that you on Instinet forms that you created for this transaction, you can go back and change those forms, But anything in this Authentisign package that you sent out, you can't go back in and change those now because Authentisign won't let you. This is the one that went out. So that prevents somebody from in the middle of a signing trying to call the documents back, making a quick change, and only sending it out to the second parts of the people. So you see right here the gears. This tells you what's going on with the one that I sent out. Right here is you can see the history of what was going on, everything I did to the forms, and so right now, here are the people in the order. Larry's the reviewer. These speedometer looking things tell you authenticated means that they have not opened that email yet. Or authenticated, it'll let you know when they open the email, and signed, it'll let you know when they've signed it or reviewed it. So in this case, I look real quick and I see that no one's opened it yet. This is the email for Larry. Hopefully, refresh it. Okay, here's what it'll look like when he gets it. This is for Larry to review it. Now, on my email, because I'm the agent that prepared it, I gotta refresh mine. I will be getting notifications as people go through and sign everything because I'm the agent that prepared it. So here is Larry's email, and because we have a sign in line situation where it has to go to the Larry first, if you notice right here, this is Betty Byers' email. She has not received an email yet because Larry has not signed it first. And because I'm also a signer, I haven't gotten my email yet. And you'll see as we go through this, I won't get my email to sign until after Betty signs it. So I'm going to go through Larry's and I'm going to do his real quick. He'll click where it says review signing. Unfortunately, once somebody reviews it, there's no block, there's no indication that the person reviewed it. Just walks through this. So if he didn't like something, he would hit reject. So they either accept it as is or reject it. So the attorney looked through everything, and again, he can't see where the signature blocks are. Can't see where I dropped in signature blocks. And if you remember on my seller's disclosure under Ashley's form, I put in here seller's agent and all that. He doesn't see that I checked any of this. So that's why you got to be careful trying to modify forms in Authentisign. You actually want to do it in Instinet forms, because I put that check there in Instinet forms, it would appear on everybody's document when it came through. You don't see any of that stuff that I added here under the acknowledgments and all that. So Larry looks at all these forms. He's more concerned about the PA, the terms, conditions. He likes everything and he hits accept. Once he hit accept, two things are going to happen. One, I, as the agent who prepared it, am going to get an email notification saying that an action has happened. And two, because it was an accept action, it's automatically going to send an email to Ashley. So we're going to click accept. Caution, he's going to hit accept documents. No thanks to this. And Larry's going to get this saying that he successfully completed his portion of it. Because it automatically goes in this case to the buyer, if you would like to do it in two steps where it goes to the reviewer first and then comes back to you and then you send it out after it's been reviewed, you can do it that way as well. But as we look now in, here is Betty Byers' email, big B right here. As you see now, she has the email for the packet for her to sign. But if you look in my email, which is taking forever to refresh. Nope, I didn't get it yet. Okay, I'll be getting the notification shortly that he signed it. And if we go back to Instinet and I refresh here, Grapholas. Sorry, it bounced out. And I open up that transaction after it loads. The lightning bolt tells me it's in progress. If you don't know what it is, just hover over it with your cursor. Here's that transaction. I'm going to open it up. We'll see now that Larry, remember he had speedometers, now he has race flags. So he's authenticated and signed. If someone opened the email but didn't complete the signing, you'll just see a race flag here. So that tells you they opened it, so you can call them and talk to them and say, hey, you need to finish the signing. So we know Betty has it. So we're going to open it up for her. She's going to start the signing. She has 23 signing blocks. She can do this. She can do it from her phone, open her email on her phone and do it. She has a couple options here to read through. Most clients just accept it and move forward from there. And then she hits start. The system, once they click on start, will automatically bounce them wherever they need to go. So they click start here. And see, this big red arrow indicates where there's a signing activity, and on a mobile device or on tablets, those are hard to see, and if you're real close to the margins, that's where it won't pick up. So all they have to do is tap here or click here, and it'll take them right next to the next item. Here are her X's. There's her initial. That initial up here was because I changed this business days, remember. Just keeps taking her through. Now remember, she had the radial button. She can either select this one or this one. Can't select both. So once, this is where those radial buttons work. So once she selects that, comes back down here. And just kind of walks her through it, the person through it. Now you're done. Sometimes we have the case where people say, yeah, I finished everything and I hit complete. You don't want to, they don't want to hit this complete up here. They have to hit this complete signing in a red shaded box in the middle of the screen in order for the system to recognize that the signing is complete and to send the email to the next person. So they hit complete signing. She doesn't want to do the password, no thanks. She gets her notification. And back here on transaction desk, I'll let it reload. You'll see that there are two race flags. So I'm the only one still left to do it. And now I'm going to open up my email. Here's the Authentisign message that said an action has taken place. This lets me know that the reviewer has accepted the document. So I'm going to get that email from Authentisign. In this case, I'm going to be getting 3 of these emails. That I'm going to get the email when the lawyer reviewed it and signed it, or reviewed it, when the buyer reviewed it and signed it, when I reviewed it and signed it. It will notify you as the agent who put it together. Here's Betty Byers with her updates, saying that Betty Byers, signed it and when she signed it and everything. And now here's where my signature is requested. So same process as everybody else, because I had a signature block in there. You have to sign it. If you include somebody as a participant in Authentisign way back when we were setting it up, whether a reviewer, a CC'er, or a signer, and you don't, as a signer, and you don't have any signatures for them, the system won't let you proceed. So you got to remove them as a signer. I should explain that in the beginning, but so now I'm going to go through and do the same process the buyer did. I have my boxes to check. Complete sign. And if you notice, because it's a sign in line situation, I'm seeing everywhere where Ashley already signed everything. So I'm going to hit complete signing. No thanks. And now we have a completed transaction all the way through. I'm just cleaning up some of this so my stuff looks easier. If we go to my inbox, Here's my last signing update that says I signed my own documents. So in your email, you can see the status right here. I mean, delete this one because this is me signing it. Here are the 3 messages that I received as the agent who prepared it, telling me the name of the packet and what happened on it. So if we go back into Authentisign and we check, now this time we have the blue ribbon, which automatically tells me everybody signed it. We have all the flags here. Oftentimes, if you see an authenticated one and not signed, and you call your client and the client says, no, I signed it, chances are they hit the blue complete button in the upper right. You want to tell them to go through and hit the complete signing in the red box in the middle of the page, and that'll change that. Here were the documents and everything else, and the history. You can find all that here. So I went through that quickly because I want to show you. Here is the transaction, the actual transaction that I created. Here are all my forms, and here are all my documents. Now, in the beginning, when we started this, my documents just consisted of the faxback cover sheet, and the disclosures. If I open this up right now, you'll see that the disclosures, the disclosures would not have any signatures. These were the disclosures that were downloaded as see the certification of authenticity. That's what these are. And it lets them know when everybody was signed and who signed it and who reviewed it. If anybody ever asks for these documents, check with your broker to make sure it's all right to send them, and you can send them the certifications. This is what you're going to have to, if you ever get taken to court, is what you would need to bring to show that they were signed. Here's the purchase agreement. And as you can see down here, when she signed it, it put in the date stamp. It put in the date stamp and the time and the date and everything else right here. Even though we had a date stamp over here, it's still times and date stamps it here. So it's not necessary if you're doing an authentic electronic signature that you drop in the date stamp. And also here on the top of the page is the Authentisign ID, where I said the next time, maybe if I go to send out this purchase agreement to be bottom lined, I'm going to move this over to my top right so that these numbers don't kind of print on top of each other. So here are all the forms. For some reason, what we're going to do, open up my basket. My system merges documents. I'm going to show you how to use the document slicer now. So I'm going to take all these individual forms and create. Normally, when you get them back, you will see all your forms will be in one big packet. So here's how you would normally see your documents. And there are 27 documents in there, including all the certifications. Now I want to create a packet that's just going to go to the seller, and the seller doesn't need, all my forms in there. So we're going to come up here to the document slicer tool. Where'd it go? Click on that. And the document slicer tool is going to bring up all my documents here. And the ones that I want to create a package for, of course, I want the seller's disclosure statement, the highlight in blue, addendum, all the forms. These are things that I'm going to send. This is my exclusive buyer's agency contract. I'm not sending that to my seller, or I'm sorry, to the listing agent. But here's the disclosure regarding real estate agency, the purchase agreement. It's all right here. You get the point. Now, sorry, I don't want this one. This is not the one I want. Close. So if you made a mistake, just click on it again and it'll go off. These are the seller's disclosures I wanted because my client signed them. I don't want any of these certifications going or any of this other stuff. So none of those are highlighted. So I just come up here to the, I got them selected. And when I hit save, I'm going to save as the selected pages and I'm going to name it. Forgot this property name. I think it's Lockwood or something. No, wrong address name. And then I'm going to say seller packet. And then when I hit save, what it did was under my documents for this transaction, 38955 Lakeshore Drive. There you go. Oh, my screen froze. Right here it was. I'm going to rename it. Oh, wrong one. Yep, this one is this was the one I just sliced. I'm going to rename it. So that when the email goes out, Lakeshore Drive. Sorry, my brain is not working today. 38955 Lakeshore Drive. I know when I look through, these are the documents that I'm sending to the listing agent. I'm going to rename it. So it saved it under here in my documents. There are 15 pages. This is everything that needs to go. I can at this point just take this and download it or and save it, copy it to the cloud, and then we can just send it out. And we can just email it out to the client right from here. To my, I can email it to the listing agent, and then it would go to them, and they would have everything. So that would be how you would do a transaction all the way through Authentisign, with everybody signing and doing everything else in order and adding all the names in the signature block. The biggest issue I found with Authentisign is getting first-time people to click on the correct complete signing, especially if they're doing it off a phone. And I'm going to touch on that real quickly. Are there any questions with how this all comes together or where it all goes? Real quickly, you can also from within the transaction, you can go, I'm already in the transaction, you can start assigning, same process we did by coming over here, clicking on signings, and you click add, and you can create a new signing that way. Either way, either from this pen or from within the transaction, both brings all your documents back into this transaction. The reason why, again, that you want to always start assign a transaction to a signing is so that when those documents are complete, it'll automatically pull those documents down under the documents section of that transaction. If not, they'll just hang out here and you'll have to go and find where they all are at and go from there. You can, for iPhone users, you can get a transaction desk on your phone. I would not try to do a whole listing or signing or anything like that off your phone, but it works real well. I had the case just last week where we had a quick extension to do. It was a simple couple words, send it out to my client to be signed. He sent it back, and then I just emailed it right to my to the listing agent. I did it right off my phone because I was not near a computer or anything, and it worked really well. The thing is, if you're going to get it for your phone, there is a couple-step process where you have to link. If you download the app, it's going to ask you to go to Authentisign, and you got to go down in your systems, and it's going to ask you to join a linked application, and it'll give you a code to put in and everything else, so that what's here through My Real Source automatically links with your phone. So again, you have to come under, if you're going to download the app either from for Android or app, or I'm sorry, only for iPhones, you go to the App Store and get it, then it'll ask you to link it. You have to come under here for settings. Any questions on all this that I covered here? Debbie, you have anything?
No, we're good.
If you guys got any questions, you can grab my email. I think it's on the webinar, and or Debbie's. Reach out to Debbie. Feel free to ask me. I'll be happy to walk you through anything. If you get stuck in the middle of something, how do you bring something in, or how do you add a signature or something? I'll be happy to help you. Anything else?
We want to let our members know that we do have handouts on the class. So if you have already minimized your GoToWebinar panel, so you'll see just those 4 little icons on your right of your screen. Go ahead and click the orange arrow to the left, and you'll expand your panel. You'll see the 2 handouts that are in here. So we have the entire Authentisign handout that Lisa Harris did for us a while back. It is a very lengthy document, but tell me, it is a great document. I think there's 5 or 6 pages. And then, of course, the document slicer and the markup. There's a lot of offices will need that when a purchase agreement packet comes in. Some of it needs to go to one department, another needs to go to another department. So if you're needing to slice up your documents like that, you'll be wanting that handout as well.
Some other quick tips before you guys go. Under MLS documents right here, this is my main screen back on My Real Source. Under MLS documents, is it loading? Oh, there you go. Down here under MRS Education, there are 73 files. You can click on that. You put in the search that you're looking for, Authentisign. And if you hit that, it'll pull them up. The handouts, the reason we ask you to search first is the documents are loaded in the library based on the order in which we add them to here. So rather than scrolling through trying to find everything, just type in a few keywords and they'll pop up. That's one way where you can find some of that stuff. Again, back in, oops, it's already open. Sorry. Here you go, MLS documents. MLS folder right here. There's some other resources in here to look through. And then the webinar library has one file, but we also have a YouTube page that has some of the webinars uploaded. Is that correct, Debbie?
Yes, if you click under resources.
Okay.
In the bottom right, you will see recorded webinars.
Recorded webinars.
And that is our YouTube channel. Please don't forget to subscribe.
Yep, it's got a lot of really good stuff. We've been recording a lot of these. And also just one last thing on your home page. If you come over here in the far left little button here, it says MLS. It'll pull up My Real Source, stuff that's going on with My Real Source. And you can always click in here and find out what's going on or what My Real Source is showing for you to take a look at and everything else.
And there's your calendar right there. Yep, your calendar right there. You can register for classes right there too. Under the May.
Yep, I'm going to get it up a little bigger so they can see it. Right here's the calendar. So you can see the classes coming up if you want to and everything else like that. You can register right from here.
And I just added into the chats the GoToWebinar registration for tomorrow's Mixing It Up with My Real Source. when we are going to be discussing Michigan Realtors' new email yesterday. So when we can start showing homes again in a limited manner with the proper forms and the proper precautions, and then. So we'll be going over that tomorrow at the Mixing It Up. So if you guys want to attend that, just click the registration link that is there. It's also in that May calendar on your home page of Paragon. And
one other thing I'd like to add, I know most brokers' policies that we've heard so far is that all showings have to be approved by the seller. There's a couple of ways that you can do it. One of the best ways I suggest is to understand how to get your seller on the Showing Time app, okay? And how they can download Showing Time app and actually get it on their phone. Some brokerages actually call the seller and want to talk to them, and then an admin or somebody similar approves the showings. Whatever the procedures are, if you're in an office where the seller is going to approve it, of course, Showing Time can just send them a text that does it, where it sends them a text notification that says, hey, can you approve the showing, yes or no? It's much better if you can get your seller on the Showing Time app. So look for those, we have some tutorials on how to do that, and get your sellers using the Showing Time app and have them download it so that they can see who's using the, it's a better system in which to approve the showing. It won't show the information of who the buyer client is, but it will show your information and some other things like that. But get your sellers on the Showing Time app if you can, the way things are going to be changing here.
And also with probably two caveats on that one. So first and foremost, it's going to be per your broker's mandates. It's right. Their policies and procedures. And number two, each showing must be accompanied by my boss is going to say, please be careful, the word must. So each showing shall accompany with the buyer's agent. So the buyer's agent has to submit the certification from the buyer saying that they are clean, for lack of better words. And so there's going to be a showing addendum for each and every showing. So it would be up to the listing agent at this time to receive that piece of paper. And it is I was working on that right now. It's not the showing addendum. Lordy, okay, let me bring up my email, which is right here.
Right, Debbie's looking at that. One thing I want to share with you. There's not a lot of agents on here, but please stress there are going to be agents that there are always agents that do what they want. We know that in the industry. One of the reasons that we heard through the Michigan Association of Realtors of why the governor didn't allow real estate to happen is because when we first kind of were getting into all this, people were ignoring everything. They were just running out there and all that. And she said, you guys couldn't even do what I asked you to do the first time, so I'm going to make you non-essential. Again, this stuff, if we do what we're supposed to, look, I don't like wearing a mask. They're hard to breathe in. I could give you 1,000 reasons why, but you know what? I'm going to wear a mask. I'm gonna try to find somewhere or some disposable gloves, because if the seller says you have to have mask, gloves, and booties on to enter that home, you have to get that, and just make ways to find it in order to show the home. The sellers are going to dictate what the rules are to be in the home. We have some extra wipes we found. We're going to keep those in the car so that I can kind of wipe some things down. We're going to do walkthroughs more to look at the home to see if we want to write an offer, not touch too much. And then if it is accepted during the inspection phase, we'll do a little more. However, having said all that, if we do what we're being asked to do and we can show that we are professionals in our industry and not just all of a sudden run out there and get all crazy, and that we are responsible professionals, we will keep going and we will be able to have a good, strong market for the rest of the summer and the spring and the summer season and into the fall. If all of a sudden people start arguing and trying to do multiple showings and my client needs to be there and all that, and we just start walking into homes and she starts getting wind of that, the chances are she'll shut our industry down again. So let's all be smart about it, do what we're supposed to, and we can have a great summer and get back to working with our clients.
Yes,
that's
indeed.
my little speech.
Hey, and I did see Jan Geetson did have a question. It showed up in a different box. So Jan, I apologize for not catching that earlier. So Jan wanted to know, so back on the signatures, when you were adding Betty Buyer in for your buyer's signature, she said, what if there are more than 2 buyers or sellers? How do you add signature lines? And that was simply a drag and drop, is it not?
Yeah, it's just it's a drag and drop because the signature will appear wherever you put it. You don't need to.
So they're going to be part of your contacts, right? So they're added into contacts.
Yep.
And then, yeah, when you're adding the signature lines, you just add another one.
So if I was, if we're basically done. If you want to stay on the chat and see how this is going, you know what I'm showing here. That's not an issue. But as far if there's no other questions, you can leave. But the person that asked this question, I'm going to show you. Okay, so here's my transaction that we were working on. I'm going to bring up just, I'm going to open it up and go to my forms. I'm going to create there's a couple ways you can do it. So let's go to the purchase agreement. Maybe there were 3 people that had to sign the purchase agreement. Our place only has room for 1 or 2 rather. So right here, if I needed to add another buyer, I could either I would set that up in the forms, because right here, Bruce Buyer, I like these Bruce and Betty Buyers. He would sign on this block, and if I did need to add somebody, I could always like put it up here, and I would do it first in forms. I would create a signature block right here, and I would say Brant Buyer, and I would create that box right here. Just kind of drop the name in, and you could even, if you wanted to, if you're a little anal, you could even put over here buyer. But I would create it in the form side, and the reason I would create it on the form side is because when it goes out to be digitally signed, nobody else will see some of this stuff here. Okay, so I created it in the form sign. I added another buyer, and I kind of got like this halfway signature line right in here for Brant Buyer. Okay, so we're going to just save this, and I'm going through it real quickly. That was on the purchase agreement.
5-4.
Yep, and I am going to just make this a single signing. I'm gonna start a signing over here. I'm gonna add a new signing. Transaction, I'm gonna sign it to the Lakeshore transaction. I'm gonna go to a new signing just like before. And we're all gonna do sign this way. That way I don't have to wait. I have no advanced options. So here are the participants. It'll be Ashley Buyer. She's a remote signer. I'm going to have to add, and I'm going to have participants I already have because I don't want to, from my contacts, just to show you how this works. I don't have the exact names. No. Shoot. Let me see who I have in here. Yeah, I'll use Brantley King. He's a remote signer, and we'll just grab her name. Add. The one document is right there. We're going to pull up the one document, which is the purchase agreement. I'm going to add that. And now we're going to design it. So we created it in forms. I added the signature blocks where I needed to in forms because I prefer it that way. You can do it in this way. So here we have buyer, Brant Buyer. I can't move any of this stuff because it was created in forms. So here are the 4 signatures. So Betty Buyer's already set. So I'm going to drag and drop her signature down here under Betty Buyer. I'm going to move it over because I know I got Brant. And then I'm going to have unfortunately the names aren't going to work, but I'm on Brantley King. I'm going to put him up here. All right. Now it's going to go over the buyer's signature part. That's all right. And this is where I can move it there or wherever I want to. But the point is, it's going to be on the paper, and it's going to be a little, maybe not the best example I could have used here. And then Bruce Buyer, of course, is going to be Christina Burrows. I had the names wrong, but you can put them in down here. And this is where I was talking about all the sign here's get confusing. Just going to flip horizontal. Oops. Flip vertical, and we'll move this one down here. So when they open up their email, it just looks a little easier to see. And then all those people, I would hit next. It would save the document and get ready to send it out. I don't want to send this out because people who aren't supposed to are going to get the wrong emails. So that's how you would do it. The other way to do it is if you went back into those forms, a little, if you're not so concerned about having all those names in there, purchase agreement, I would start a new signing from, sorry, you go right into signing, you add a new one. I'm just going to call it class 3. Assign it to Lakeshore so I can pull up that form, hit save. And the participants are same as Ashley. We're going to add one more. Come on. And we'll just take, it doesn't matter right now. Just so you can kind of see how it would be. Like Debbie said, you could just then, I've created the signing. I'm going to design the forms. And now down here on the bottom, you know, I need to do another signature. See, it already saved the stuff I did last time, but you could just drag and drop. Oops. You could just drag and drop a signature, and that would create that for that second person there, if you had space on it. So that's how you could do it if you had to add a third or a fourth name or something like that to it. You know, that's one way. You could just drag it in through the signing and create it. And if you really wanted to, under the box, you could mark it up and put in a little text box if you wanted to, and write in whatever you needed to. So you can either do it in the signing, you can just bring in another signature and kind of drop it in there. If a form was preset like this, it's going to look a little squished. But if you have the room, put it somewhere where it needs to be. So I would prefer to do it from forms first and create that area in forms first. That way, when you pull the form over into signing, that whoever it's going to be assigned to, as you can see, is always going to be there. And did that answer your question? Hopefully. I hope it did. Now I got to go delete all those. All right, if there's nothing else, we're going to end the webinar, and that will be it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you, everybody, for attending. And we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Don't forget, these webinars are recorded and uploaded to our YouTube channel, which is My Real Source Media.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you later, Chris.
All right. See you. Bye. Have a good